The retail crisis is here to stay, and the disaster is already manifesting itself in various ways. Shockingly, some companies have already taken a fatal blow, while others are nearing their farewells as this economic storm proves to be unforgiving to ill-prepared companies. So what's the future of these retail chains, and how are the companies handling them? With this, let's have a look at the crisis that have affected today's retailer stores. Inflation has been the bigger part of the retail crisis, and many chains are losing the battle to counter this economic problem. Inflation has made people buy less and focus on cutting expenses, and well, this behavior has hurt numerous retailers since they are recording low profits. For example, Gap Clothing has recorded a drop in sales that went below the company's targeted revenue. Gap was not able to fulfill the targeted revenue of $4.24 billion since it registered a loss of $120 million. Another retailer, Big Lots, has also recorded a decline in sales as shown by the 14.6% drop, and the company's CEO admitted that people tamed their spending on high-ticket items. Another retailer, Kohl's, registered enormous losses that were as high as $202 million, thereby adding salt to the consecutive quarterly losses the company has been facing recently. Progressing to a different retailer, Home Depot cited that its earnings were reduced by 6.4% and that it expects a 5% loss by the end of the year. Home Depot also cited that inflation has made people tone down on household goods, which explains the drastic loss that the company is facing. These examples show no doubt that inflation is knocking at every retailer's door, and we're already witnessing the damage being done. The second crucial area of the retail crisis that is killing major chains is the debt owed. The cost of operating a business has become so much more expensive as the economy stiffens. As a result, many companies have borrowed more to sustain themselves, and with time, the debt accumulated gets bigger and bigger. Hence, many retailers are now finding it hard to pay back loans. One company, Bed Bath & Beyond, is having trouble honoring their financial obligations. Bed Bath & Beyond currently has a debt of $1.7 billion, and the company is now set to close its remaining stores because it is bankrupt. Another retailer, Party City, is suffering similar financial turmoil as their debt has accumulated to $1.67 billion. Party City has now started selling its assets as it looks forward to shutting down more than 30 outlets in the U.S. An additional retailer, Tuesday Morning, is facing the blade of taking loans on as a series of bankruptcies have eternally haunted the company. Things are getting out of hand for Tuesday Morning as the company is looking forward to terminating its operations completely. The scars of debt are evident in the retail crisis, and many companies are disappearing because of this. Thus, with time, we expect the debt list to be longer. Crime plays a vital role in the retail crisis as many people are willing to steal to put food on the table. The high cost of living in the U.S. has increased the rate of poverty, and this puts pressure on low-income earners or even people who have no income. As a result, many have engaged in crime to ease the economic burden. Many retailers are feeling the huge loss of inventory shrinkage. The rate of shoplifting is so serious in the U.S. that chains lose a combined amount of $100 billion. Some of the major stores affected by retail crime are Target, Walmart, and Dollar Tree. When it comes to Walmart, the company has lost over $400 million annually, and this has fueled shutdowns in crime-prone areas around 9 U.S. states. On the other hand, Target has registered an enormous loss of over $500 million, after which a string of closures were implemented at some outlets because of the unsafe business environment. Nevertheless, Dollar Tree has also faced a similar problem, as burglaries and robberies have caused the company's earnings to be reduced by 29.8%. Since then, life has not been the same for Dollar Tree, as the company's CEO has vowed to stop selling items if the crime rate doesn't cool down. Crime can't be underestimated in causing unrest among retail owners, and as time goes on, we will witness more outlets fall because of this disaster. Currently, chain stores are facing a huge challenge with refilling their shelves, and this has created an imbalance in demand and supply. One company, Apple has been battling with supply chain issues, and this keeps frustrating the company's progress. It was not long ago that Apple faced a loss of $6 billion because of a chip shortage. The problem is now resurfacing again, just as Apple wants to introduce the next iPhone series to the market. This means that many iPhone lovers will have to wait until the supply itch is fixed. Another chain store to be affected is Starbucks. This food chain has been experiencing sandwich shortages, and the issue has frustrated its customers, as some expressed that the delays took more than a week. Considering this happened last month, Starbucks is now losing customers, and things will shift from bad to worse if the problem is not solved urgently. Another victim of the supply problem is Walgreens. This pharmaceutical chain has been experiencing a shortage of some drugs while their demands are on the rise. One good example is the Wegovy drug, which aids in weight loss. Bearing in mind that 115 million people in the U.S. are obese, Wegovy has been in huge demand. But Walgreens has failed to fill the demand gap. As a result, Walgreens is now losing enormous profits for failing to take advantage of the growing demand. Yet again, the supply chain issues remain a bigger threat in the retail crisis because some chains are unable to achieve maximum profit because of it. A high turnover rate has been a major factor in chains vanishing. The fact that most retail owners overwork employees and pay them very little is making workers quit jobs. Hence, this is forming large loopholes in the retail industry. Since most companies are profit-centered, many retail stores are losing a quality workforce. This shows the perception of how people view retail employment. In fact, most people are willing to leave retail jobs if they can find greener pastures elsewhere. The turnover rates in the retail industry are so crazy that some chain stores are hitting more than 100%. For example, the turnover rate at Amazon stands at 150%. This huge withdrawal of employees is negatively affecting Amazon, and reports speculate that Amazon could face a big labor shortage by 2024. Another chain store, Wendy's, is also facing an alarming turnover rate of 130%, as many consider working there stressful. Not to forget, McDonald's turnover rate stands at over 130%, which erodes the status of this iconic company. The retail industry could soon be doomed if companies don't find immediate solutions to care for their employees. The ever-changing shopping habits have brought a lot of uncertainty and shakeups to the retail sector. One changing habit is that people are prioritizing essential items such as food and gas. This behavior alone has caused people to spend less on electronics and furniture. As a result, chain stores that specialize in selling furniture have suffered huge losses. One of them is Office Depot. The company is focused on reducing the store count since furniture sales have deteriorated massively and there's a low demand for office equipment. As we speak, more than 75 outlets have been closed, and more restructuring is continuing at Office Depot. Moreover, consumer habits have enabled people to slash their spending on luxury. Since the cost of living is high, people are finding additional ways to save. This behavior has hurt chain stores that specialize in offering luxury goods. For instance, Nordstrom has incurred extensive losses, which have forced the company to terminate its operations completely in Canada. The company is also reducing headcount since operational costs are high, and as per reports, more than 2,500 jobs are going to be slashed. In addition, the company is closing 15 more outlets in the U.S. because the stores were underperforming. This shows that the more unpredictable the shopper's habits are, the greater the chances of losses for a retail chain. In conclusion, this is just the tip of the iceberg, as we expect the retail crisis to take a bigger toll on more retail chains in the remaining part of the year.